Good day. My name is Ice Sayariuben CX Conde, but you can call me Ice, and I will be presenting the characteristics of a Filipino family. So, without further ado, I'll be starting my presentation. So, the characteristics of the Filipino family, first with the introduction. So, the Filipino family is closely knit and has strong family ties in comparison to most Western families. So, Filipino families and even other Asian families as we know it have strong bonds with each other after the age of 18, usually in Western countries, Europe, America. The Americas, usually a person is already independent from their parents and from their other families, and then they rarely see them. But for Filipinos, once even when you're in your 30s or 40s, sometimes you still live with your parents, even if you have already 5 kids. So that's a characteristic of the Filipino family. It is also usually extended, meaning there are usually many members, especially children, in a Filipino family. So one common thing you might hear from other people is that uh, they have 12 brothers. So that's a very common thing here in the Philippines. Even with all the effort to control, to have birth control, to control the population, you can still see that there are many people who are producing many children. So that's one thing that a Filipino family has. Another is a woman is held in a high regard in a Filipino household in comparison to other families, even in Asian families. Usually, the mother is just a household figure, not really the main authority in a family. But in the Philippines, it is quite different. You're even if a mother is doing household chores only and not necessarily working, they are still held in a high regard, and most especially, I guess, in families that have working mothers. So that is one thing that's catching up to the Philippines. And close friends may be considered a part of a family as well. Another thing is close friends, or parents of your friends, or parents that you are close to of your friends. So that includes when you're having a wedding, or when you're born, you have what you call ninongs or ninangs, which are extended families that may not be necessarily related by blood. So that is the short introduction to a Filipino family. So now we will be going to the functions of the family. See there's a picture of functioning families. So let's go through this. Functions of the family. So the first is reproduction of the race and rearing of the young. So obviously, so that people may reproduce, so that their lineage goes on, so that the human race may survive. And rearing of the young, that means rearing means to take care of or to raise properly. So that means taking care of them, taking care of the children of whatever culture you belong to. Which leads us to our second function, cultural transmission or enculturation. That means the passing on of the culture from the parents to the offspring, and so on and so forth. Third is the socialization of the child, since when you're born, you don't really know what's happening. So a function of the family is to tell the growing kid what's up, as well as feeding them, taking care of them. So they're teaching the child about socialization and society as a whole. Next one, number 4, providing affection and source of security. So a family needs to provide affection and source of security for every member of it. So that means it's not a function of the family to be fighting amongst themselves. So if you're fighting amongst yourselves, then that's not good. That means your family might not be functioning as properly. And the next, providing the environment for personality development and the growth of self-concept in relation to others. So this kind of ties in with number 3, socialization of the child, providing an environment that a person or a child may be able to grow and function properly as part of a society after learning from the family. And number six is providing social status, since usually families outside of marriage are rather controversial in comparison. So a function of a family, of a married family, is to provide a social status, to not be outcast by society. So those are the six functions of the family. So now we go on to the specifics, which is kinds of family patterns. So there is membership, residence, authority, descent, and others. So as you can see, there is a group of uh, food there. They're a happy family, all made of rice. Okay, so let's start. First is membership. There are two types of membership. First one is the conjugal or nuclear family. This is the primary or elementary family consisting of a husband, wife, and children. So that's just the immediate family: mom, dad, son, daughter. That's the nuclear family or the conjugal family. So that's the immediate. And then the other is the consanguine or extended family. It consists of the married couple, siblings, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins, so nephews, nieces, so on and so forth. So uh, it's the uncles, it's the brothers, sisters, it's the aunts. You get the gist. So that's it. So there's nuclear and extended. So it's extended. What else? There, very simple description. Okay, so that's membership. Next is marriage. So there are two main types of marriages. First is monogamy, a marriage with one person married to another person. So that's one to one. Usually it's a man to a woman, but at this time and age, some Filipinos are having homosexual marriages. And then next is polygamy. Sorry for the mic. Next is polygamy. So polygamy is from poly, meaning many. So it means a plural marriage, meaning a marriage with many people. And there are three types of polygamy. First is polyandry, where one woman is married to two or more men at the same time. So it's a woman having two or more uh, husbands. And then there's polygamy, where one man is married to two or more women at the same time. And then there is synogamy, where two or more men mate with two or more women in a marriage. So that's pretty much, that means there could be as many people in a marriage as you want. That is what a synogamy is, although that is very rare and almost never happens here in the Philippines. I have not researched if there was, but I would assume it's unlikely that there is one that it came locally. So those are the types of marriages: monogamy and polygamy, and then types of polygamy: polyandry, polygamy, and synogamy. So next is residence. So there are three types of residences: patrilocal, matrilocal, and neolocal. The first one is patrilocal, when the newly married couple lives with the parents of the husband. So that means the married people live with the parents of the husband. Very simple. Next is matrilocal. So matri meaning mother. So it's inversely, the newly married couple lives with the parents of the wife. And then neolocal is when the newly married couple maintains a separate household and lives by themselves. That means if they decide to go independently and live by themselves, separated from either of their parents. So that is the three types of residence where the family decides to live: patrilocal with the father's parents, matrilocal with the mother's parents, neolocal by themselves. Next is the authority. So almost the same type of meaning here. They just changed the word a bit. So the first one is patriarchal, where the father is considered the head and plays a dominant role. So that's patriarchal. Next is matriarchal, where the mother or female is considered the head and makes the major decisions. Sometimes even when the father is the head, sometimes a family becomes matriarchal because they are just following whoever their wives are. So sometimes it becomes matriarchal. So that's an example of a matriarchal family. And next is equalitarian, where the father and mother share in making decisions and are equal in authority. I think this is slightly the more healthy one, where they both get to decide codependently. I think that one's my favorite one. So that one's equalitarian, excuse me. So patriarchal, matriarchal, and equalitarian. And then next is descent. So it almost has the same. It's almost the same as the others, except I guess the third one. So the first one is patrilineal, when the descent is recognized through the father's line. So that's the father onwards or upwards. So the father, the grandparents, the father's parents, the father's grandparents, so on. Matrilineal is inversely with the mother, so the mother's parents, mother's grandparents, so on. And bilineal, when the descent is recognized through both the father's and mother's line. So these are usually just when we're recording our heritages or our family tree. So this is how to describe your descent, whether it came from the father, mother, or both. So those are the different kinds of family patterns. And last but not least, family-school partnerships. So this refers to the collaborative relationships designed primarily to produce positive educational and social effects to the child while being mutually beneficial to all parties involved. So obviously it's just about your school's relationship with the family. So the school partnership includes sharing of power, responsibility of ownership, with each party having different roles. So the parents are obviously pretty much the first teachers, and the teachers are pretty much, excuse me, the second parents. A degree of mutuality that begins with a process of listening to each other, and that incorporates responsive dialogue and give and take on both sides. So yes, it's pretty much just being cooperative and mutual in their understanding. Shared aims and goals based on a common understanding of the educational needs of the children. Again, cooperation, taking into consideration what the child needs. And lastly, commitment action, in which parents, students, and teachers work together. So that's the whole of this commitment to the partnership the schools have with the family. And so that pretty much ends my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, I believe you can message me, or if this is being presented in front of the class, you can ask me right after this video. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys later.